Now, Rob Goldstone is the music publicist that had set up a Trump Tower meeting with 3 senior members of Donald Trump's presidential campaign, as well as a small group of people working on behalf of the Russian government. Now, he's apparently telling his story about the Trump Tower meeting for the first time. Now, guess what? It's because he's got a book. Let's be honest about that. Everybody's coming out with a book. It's amazing. Maybe I should come out with a book. It's called Pop Stars, Pageants, and Presidents: How an Email Trumped My Life. Now, that email in question is actually kind of interesting. Now, that email basically led to a meeting, the famous Trump Tower meeting, right? Now, speaking about the meeting he helped set up, which promised the future president's son that the crown prosecutor of Russia, which is not true, by the way, had information to share that would incriminate Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and her dealings with Russia. So they're like, oh, you're going to accuse us of dealing with Russia? Actually, you're dealing with Russia. Ha! Take that. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? We'll find out the truth one of these days, right? Because we don't know if the Trump campaign literally dealt with Russia. So that's something that we're actually looking to find out. But anyway, now Goldstone maintains that the meeting turned out to be nothing more than a mind-numbingly dull presentation and a few vague remarks about Russian fundraising for Democrats, which then turned towards a discussion of adoption. Goldstone said, quote, and he told Donald Trump Jr. this was one of the most embarrassing meetings I have ever been in, and I set it up. Because originally, he set it up so that he could get dirt on Hillary Clinton that they could use against her in the election. Now, wait a minute here. So this is Rob Goldstone, again, backing up what Donald Trump Jr. said, and I was looking to do collusion. I wanted to collude with a foreign government and get opposition research on Hillary Clinton that they said that they had. Now, did they have it? Well, Goldstone says no. And look, considering how Goldstone is a big player in this, it makes sense that he keeps saying that, oh, no, this has nothing to do with the interference in our elections. Nothing to do whatsoever. No, we got nothing from that. And it's not connected to the interference. We had nothing to do with that. And we got no information, so we didn't do anything wrong. Well, this stinks of, I'm covering my ass. That's just what I think there. Now, whether that's true or not, we're going to eventually learn. But he did tell USA Today in an interview that he has no doubt the Russians interfered in some way in the presidential elections. And that's true. Social media, fake news, trying to influence voters, things like that, right? And I would argue that it's actually pretty easy to influence voters away from Hillary Clinton. Most people already made up their minds that Hillary Clinton sucked. So it's not like some mastermind attempt. It's like people already hate Hillary Clinton, and there's already so much negative information about her anyway, and she doesn't do her campaign any favors. So let's put out a few stories, put out some memes, a couple of fake news articles, and people are going to go crazy. And that's exactly what happened. They took somebody who was already widely disliked and just reminded people, these are the reasons that we dislike her, that you should dislike her. Okay, fair enough, right? Still, foreign interference, not the greatest thing. But anyway, Goldstone explains the biggest misconception people have about him is that this was done with some political leaning. That he says, set out to put Donald Trump in the White House. Well, I mean, that probably would have helped you had this whole Russia thing didn't actually happen, right? You would have had a high-placed friend in the White House. That would have been good for you. I mean, you did, after all, help the Trump campaign do collusion. So I wonder why a lot of people would get that idea that you were there to help Trump because you helped Trump. Anyway, now, he says, no, politics, I'm not interested in politics whatsoever. In fact, Politics has never even interested me, whether it's in the UK where I grew up, since I lived in America, which is 20-something years. Really. And he says why he backed Donald Trump. He said, quote, "I picked the winner. Maybe I should vote more often." Oh, is that why you backed Donald Trump? Oh, he was a winner. I think Donald Trump's a winner. No. Now, he also said, interestingly enough, he said that if he had voted in the presidential election, his pick probably would have been Bernie Sanders. Oh, okay. Now, this is funny, right? So here comes all the I'm still with her people, right? And these people crack me up because they're so unhinged from reality, right? The people that are like, Bernie Sanders, Russian plant. He's working with the Russian. That's ridiculous. Again, we don't even have full proof that Donald Trump's working with the Russians. Now, I think that that's a possibility, but I can't prove it. But there is absolutely no evidence, circumstantial or not, that Bernie Sanders working for Putin. That's ridiculous, right? Dumb. Now, first of all, to go in the I picked the winners thing, right? Now, if Bernie Sanders had won the Democratic nomination, he would have crushed Trump. He consistently polled against Donald Trump by double digits. They couldn't have used "oh, you're so corrupt" line against, Bernie Sanders. Why? Because he takes no corporate money, no corporate PAC money, no super PAC money. So you can't say that, oh, Bernie Sanders, tool of corporations and the wealthy. No. If anybody's a tool of corporations and the wealthy, it's Donald Trump, who literally admitted to being the corporation that buys politicians. And then, of course, Donald Trump getting all sorts of money during his presidential campaign from super PACs and corporations. You see, all the attempts to destroy Bernie Sanders by Donald Trump these attacks would have failed. All he had was crazy Bernie. Crazy Bernie wants to give you health care that's going to be cheaper for you and your family. Oh, wow, that actually sounds kind of good. Huh. Wow. Wait, crazy Bernie wants to give me and my kids free college? Oh, that sounds terribly awesome. Yes, sign me up for crazy Bernie. He would have had no attacks except nonsensical bullshit. So, yeah, spare me the, Bernie Sanders would not have won crap. Because that's what it is. It's crap. But anyway, not only that, but getting back to the whole Russia point, Bernie Sanders has consistently condemned Russia for interference. And then you also have Tad Devine, right? Tad Devine, I remember when these same I'm with her people was like, oh my God, Tad Devine, that's the proof that Bernie Sanders is a Russian plant. No, he was asked because he worked with Paul Manafort at a same firm representing the pro-Russia Ukrainian party of regions, to testify against Paul Manafort at his recent trial. You know what happened? He got convicted, Paul Manafort did, of 8 different counts related to that, money laundering and such, and has led to Manafort flipping on Donald Trump and cooperating with the Mueller investigation. Whereas Devine, never under investigation by the Mueller team, and has nothing to do with Russia, except for the fact that he did lobby on behalf of the Ukrainian Party of Regions. That doesn't mean he's a Russian plant. It means that he was doing a job. But anyway, point is, Devine not charged with anything. Neither is Sanders. So ridiculous smear, right? But anyway, Goldstone's point is, and I actually agree with that, Bernie would have won. Fair enough. Instead, we got Trump. But nonetheless, moving forward, right? Now, Goldstone then describes the Russia meeting as, quote, a bait and switch. Now, this is interesting, too. Now, inside the 25th floor conference room, Goldstone found himself seated beside Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Goldstone said, and this is a funny aside, I thought he was the thinnest person I'd ever seen. Trump Jr. was there along with Donald Trump's campaign manager, Paul Manafort, and of course, Natalia Veselnitskaya. Now, that is the Russian attorney, and she was accompanied by three people, a colleague, a translator, and a business associate of the Agalarovs. Now, the Agalarovs, Eamon, Goldstone was the agent for Eamon Agalarov, who's a pop singer, and then his father is a real estate magnate in Russia, a lot like he's basically been described as the Russian Donald Trump. So that's fascinating. So Goldstone is connected to all those people and was basically a bridge. In fact, the person that suggested the meeting was Eamon Agalarov, who was told, presumably by his father, hey, I've got connections to the Russian government. They got dirt on Hillary. You might want to tell your friends to set up a meeting. So that's what connects this whole thing. But anyway, that happened. And the way that Goldstone remembers it, he said Veselnitskaya gave one of the most droning and monotonous presentations I'd ever heard. She talked in just general terms about some well-known Russians making questionable donations to the Democratic election campaign. And while the lawyer spoke, Goldstone recalled, Manafort typed away on his phone and never looked up. An irritated Kushner interrupted the lawyer in mid-sentence and asked her to get to the point. Veselnitskaya started over with the same rambling statement. Jared, I thought, was going to throw his phone at her. That would have been funny and awesome. And then when Trump Jr. made a movement as if he were about to stand up, Veselnitskaya changed course and started to speak more passionately about Russian adoption and the Magnitsky Act, which is something, of course, that's been pissing off Putin. And the reason why is that the Magnitsky Act targeted Russian billionaires and oligarchs. Oligarchs hold a lot of power and mostly are friends with Vladimir Putin. How else are you supposed to do business in autocratic Russia? You've got to be chummy with the leaders, right? And so that makes sense. Those Magnitsky Act sanctions hit those billionaires, got Putin pretty pissed off, and so he really wants to do something about that. And so, working with Putin, Veselnitskaya made this point, promising dirt on Hillary Clinton, and apparently, supposedly not, of course, delivering on that promise of dirt. Trump Jr. then, of course, ended the meeting, telling Veselnitskaya that his father was still a private citizen, not an elected official, and suggesting that she take her concerns up with the Obama administration. Goldstone says he was embarrassed by what he calls Veselnitskaya's bait and switch, that he vowed never to speak at the meeting again, although once it became public, he would volunteer to tell his story to a federal grand jury, Mueller's investigators and all three congressional committees probing Russian meddling in the election. So here's the thing, right? Goldstone says, no dirt. Donald Trump Jr. says, no dirt. We didn't get no dirt. We wanted dirt. We wanted to collude with a foreign power in order to get intelligence, which, look, if it's opposition research that you're going to use in a political campaign against a political opponent, then that is considered a campaign contribution. Guess what that is? That's illegal. You can't get campaign contributions from a foreign source. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, you're not supposed to get money from foreign sources. So there's that. So clearly illegal, right? Now, here's the thing. The Trump team is saying no dirt whatsoever, right? We didn't get anything for that. We got dick. Well, I don't actually believe them. Why is that? Well, not long after that meeting, here comes WikiLeaks with a trove of stolen emails. Now, those emails were actually pretty damaging, as they showed the Clinton team sabotaging Bernie Sanders, the most popular politician in America, holding a public-private position on issues, right? Oh, no, publicly, I'm railing against banks. Privately, I love Goldman Sachs. Boy, they're the greatest people ever. Public and private position. And then, not only that, but the emails highlighted deep, deep corruption within the DNC. Those are very, very important. And so, I'm glad those emails came out. And my position on that has always been, okay, WikiLeaks, when they did that, when they released those emails, they were acting in the pursuit of transparency. There's a lot of people that might not agree with that, but I think those are things that were important to know, because right now they are ushering reforms into the Democratic Party to try to make it a little bit more democratic. That doesn't mean that there isn't a long way to go on that. There's a long, long way to go in replacing the corrupt institution that is the Democratic Party, that is the DNC. But at least now we're having a conversation on this, and we're making some reforms. Like the reforms to the superdelegates could have been better, but we wouldn't have even started this conversation had it not been for those emails. Not only that, but afterwards, we recently found that there were suspicious money transfers within the Agalarov family, in which, of course, Goldstone represented as Eamon's publicist. That family also very friendly with Donald Trump. So there's a lot of things that is linking this, and that doesn't necessarily mean that's a smoking gun. We got him. No. This could all be coincidence. Might not have anything to do with Donald Trump, or it might have something to do with Donald Trump. That's what we actually have to look into. But this is Goldstone. My opinion, he's saying, hey, I didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't me. Don't look into me. I didn't do anything. I am cooperating. I am, of course, saying, here, this is what I know. This is everything that I know. This matches up with what Donald Jr. has been saying. Please don't come after me. And look, it's not as if Mueller is looking into Rob Goldstone. No, he's looking into other things, very suspicious things related to this. So he's not at all interested in Goldstone. So maybe it's true that he wasn't involved in anything other than setting up the meeting, and that maybe if there was anything shady that happened, it happened without him. Again, I don't necessarily know. But that's why we have an investigation. And hopefully we can continue that investigation and find out what actually happened, who knows what, and whether or not there was actual collusion, or I should say an actual willful connection between the Trump campaign and a foreign power. You know why? Because I think that that's something that's really important and something that the American people also need to know. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.